The 1970s were country music's decade of expansion. The format broke out of its regional roots and started reaching audiences it had never reached before. Across pop radio, across the Atlantic, across demographics that had never considered themselves country music fans. These are the 10 most commercially successful country songs of that decade. Not just the ones that topped the country chart, the ones that crossed over, sold millions, and put country music in places the format had never been before.
There's been a load of compromising.
Every chart position is verified. Every sales figure is confirmed. These are the records that proved country music could go anywhere. Number 10. Coal Miner's Daughter, Loretta Lynn, 1970.
Well, I was born to coal mine.
Loretta Lynn wrote Coal Miner's Daughter herself, which was not the ordinary thing for a female country artist to do in 1970. She wrote it sitting at her kitchen table in Hurricane Mills, Tennessee, drawing on her childhood in Butcher Holler, Kentucky, the coal mining community where she had grown up as one of 8 children of a miner named Melvin Webb who worked the mines to keep the family fed. The song is a direct and undecorated account of that childhood, the poverty, the pride, the specific details of a life lived close to the ground. The family's black and white television, the father coming home covered in coal dust, the mother's dignity in the face of genuine deprivation.
All day long in a field of hoeing.
The song topped the Billboard Country Chart in 1970 and became the title track of her autobiography, published in 1976. That autobiography became the basis for the 1980 Academy Award-winning film of the same name, in which Sissy Spacek portrayed Lynn and won the Academy Award for Best Actress. Tommy Lee Jones played her husband, Doolittle Lynn. The film introduced Lynn's story to an audience that had never listened to country radio and produced a generation of new fans who went back and found the music that the film was built around. Lynn was elected to the Country Music Hall of Fame in 1988, the first female artist to be inducted since her idol Kitty Wells. She remained one of the most recognizable figures in country music until her death on October 4, 2022, at the age of 90. Coal Miner's Daughter was the song that started it all. A woman who stayed in Los Angeles until her records were pressed, mailed them to radio stations across the country, then drove from station to station on the way to Nashville, introducing herself to every programmer who was playing her record before they knew who she was. The truth of where she came from turned out to be the most commercial thing she could have said.
There was no need. She'd smile and...
Number 9. Kiss an Angel, Good Mornin', Charley Pride, 1971.
Ever I chance to be.
The idea for the song came from Charley Pride's own life. He and his wife had just welcomed their daughter Angela, and before leaving for work one morning, his wife reminded him to kiss the baby. The image stayed with him, the simple domestic act of kissing an angel before going out to face the world. And he took it to songwriter Ben Peters, who turned it into a song. Pride later said he could not wait to get into the studio to record it, but never anticipated it becoming a big hit. Kiss an Angel is a clear example of a record that was not recorded to be a crossover record, he told author Alana Nash in 2002, and it became a million seller.
Kiss an angel, good morning.
Released October 23, 1971, by RCA Victor, it became his 8th song to reach number 1 on the country charts. It was also Pride's first and only single to reach the top 40 on the pop charts, peaking at number 21 on the Billboard Hot 100. The single quickly gained commercial traction, earning gold certification from the Realisa in 1971 for sales exceeding 1 million units in the United States. Billboard ranked it the number 74 song of 1972. In 2024, it was inducted into the Grammy Hall of Fame.
Over like the devil when you get back home.
The story behind the song's creation is the story of Pride's entire approach to music. Not calculated, not commercial in its conception, simply honest about a private moment of domestic joy that turned out to be a universal one. The man who had spent 5 years breaking racial barriers on country radio by letting the music speak for itself wrote a song about kissing his baby daughter good morning and had his biggest hit. The track won him the Grammy Award for Best Country Vocal Performance, Male, for the album Charley Pride Sings Heart Songs at the 15th Annual Grammy Awards in 1973.
Let her know you think about her when you're gone.
Number 8. Behind Closed Doors, Charlie Rich, 1973.
My baby makes me proud. Oh.
Charlie Rich was 40 years old and had spent nearly 20 years in the music industry, recording rockabilly for Sun Records in the 1950s, writing songs for other artists, making jazz and pop and country albums that came and went without leaving a mark. When producer Billy Sherrill matched him with Behind Closed Doors, written by Kenny Odell, Rich had been passed over and written off so many times that the industry had essentially stopped paying attention to him. He had a genuine jazz musician's sensibility and a deep Southern baritone that Nashville had spent years trying to place in the right context. Sherrill found the context. The song reached #1 on the country chart, crossed over to number 15 on the Billboard Hot 100, and became the #1 country single of 1973. It won Rich the Grammy Award for Best Male Country Vocal Performance and the Country Music Association Single of the Year Award. The album Behind Closed Doors was eventually certified 4X Platinum by the RIMA. Rich received the CMA Entertainer of the Year Award in both 1973 and 1974. The following year, when presenting the 1975 CMA Entertainer of the Year Award, he revealed that John Denver had won and took a lighter to the envelope, a moment that was broadcast live on national television and discussed for years afterward. He never gave a satisfying explanation for what he had done.
Never far away.
Rich's silver hair and weathered presence gave him the nickname the Silver Fox, which suited a man whose commercial breakthrough had arrived 20 years into a career that most people had assumed was already finished. Behind Closed Doors was his first #1 single, the record that turned 2 decades of near misses into something the industry could not ignore. The album it came from stayed on the country chart for over a year. Number 7. The Most Beautiful Girl, Charlie Rich, 1973.
Hey, did you happen to see the...
Charlie Rich had 2 of the biggest country songs of 1973, which is the kind of achievement that does not happen by accident. The Most Beautiful Girl was released just months after Behind Closed Doors and reached #1 on the Billboard Hot Country Singles, the Billboard Hot 100, and the Adult Contemporary chart simultaneously, a triple chart topper that demonstrated the breadth of Rich's commercial reach at the peak of his powers. It was certified gold by the RIA on December 10, 1973, for sales exceeding 1 million copies, making it one of only a handful of country singles from that era to achieve that threshold.
See the most beautiful girl that walks.
The song was written by Rory Burke, Billy Sherrill, and Norris Wilson, and is built around a simple premise: a man who has lost the most beautiful girl in the world and is desperately searching for her, calling out to everyone he passes to ask if they have seen her. The production is lush and orchestrated in Sherrill's signature countrypolitan style, which gave the song an accessibility that crossed demographics in a way that pure honky-tonk country rarely did. It was #1 in Canada and reached #2 in the United Kingdom, extending Rich's commercial reach across borders, in a way that very few country singles managed in that era.
I woke up.
The fact that Rich had 2 platinum-level singles in the same calendar year, Behind Closed Doors and The Most Beautiful Girl, made 1973 the most commercially successful year any country artist had achieved to that point. He followed it with a third #1, A Very Special Love Song, in 1974. The Silver Fox, who had spent 20 years being overlooked, had 3 consecutive years at the top of the format before the commercial momentum faded. Those 3 years represent one of the most sustained commercial runs in the history of 1970s country music.
This morning, realize.
Number 6. I Will Always Love You, Dolly Parton, 1974. Dolly Parton wrote I Will Always Love You as a goodbye letter. She had been working with Porter Wagoner on his syndicated television show since 1967, and the partnership had been enormously productive. It had given her national exposure and helped launch her solo career. But by 1973, she knew she needed to leave and pursue her own direction. Wagoner was devastated by the decision. They argued repeatedly. She could not find the words in conversation to explain herself in a way that resolved the conflict. So she went home and wrote the words instead. She played it for Wagoner the next morning. He cried. He told her it was the most beautiful song she had ever written. He agreed to let her go. The song reached #1 on the Billboard Hot Country Singles chart in 1974, her fourth #1, and won the Grammy Award for Best Female Country Vocal Performance. Parton later re-recorded it in 1982 as part of the soundtrack for the film The Best Little Whorehouse in Texas, and it went to #1 on the country chart again, making her the first artist in country music history to take the same song to #1 twice in 2 different decades. Whitney Houston's 1992 pop version became the best-selling single by a female artist in history. Parton earned millions in songwriting royalties from Houston's recording. She later said those royalties helped fund the Dollywood theme park.
We'll treat you kind.
The song she wrote because she could not say goodbye in person became the most commercially valuable composition of her career. It is performed at farewell concerts, at weddings, at funerals, and in arenas by artists who were born after the original recording. Parton has said she still cries every time she sings it. The goodbye letter to Porter Wagoner turned out to be a hello letter to the rest of the world.
What you need.
5 songs down, 5 to go, and the top 5 on this list includes a goodbye letter worth millions, a Holiday Inn bar argument that won a Grammy, and the best-selling country single of the entire decade. Before we continue, if you have not subscribed yet, do it now and hit the bell. This channel covers classic country history every week, and you will not hear about it any other way. 5 left. Let's finish this. Number 5. Rhinestone Cowboy, Glen Campbell, 1975.
Well, I've been walking these streets so long.
Larry Weiss wrote Rhinestone Cowboy in 1974 and recorded it himself on 20th Century Records, where it attracted virtually no commercial attention. In late 1974, Campbell heard the song on the radio and during a subsequent tour of Australia, decided to learn it. He returned to the United States fully prepared to record it and went to Al Corey's office at Capitol Records, where Corey approached him about a great new song that turned out to be the same Rhinestone Cowboy Campbell had already spent weeks learning. Campbell's producer Dennis Lambert was initially resistant. Campbell pushed. They recorded it at Sound Labs in Hollywood, California, between February 24th and March 19th, 1975.
Horizon, yours too, George.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna be.
Rhinestone Cowboy reached #1 on the Billboard Hot Country Singles chart, #1 on the Billboard Hot 100, and #1 on the Billboard Hot Adult Contemporary Tracks chart simultaneously. The first song to accomplish that simultaneous triple chart topper since Jimmy Dean's Big Bad John in November 1961. It was Billboard's #2 song of 1975 overall. It was one of only 6 songs released in 1975 to top both the Billboard Hot 100 and Hot Country Singles charts simultaneously, the others being Before the Next Teardrop Falls by Freddie Fender, Another Somebody Done Somebody Wrong song by B.J. Thomas, Thank God I'm a Country Boy and I'm Sorry by John Denver, and Convoy by C.W. McCall. The single was certified gold by the RISA for sales of 1 million units and became the signature song of Campbell's career, the one that redefined his commercial identity for the next 45 years of his performing life.
Rhinestone Cowboy.
Larry Weiss, who wrote it and whose own version had gone completely unnoticed, received the songwriting royalties from one of the biggest country crossover hits of the decade. Campbell later said the song described something true about his own life, the grind of working toward a dream in a city that chews through people, and the conviction that the dream is worth the grind. The Rhinestone Cowboy who keeps on waving his hand was not a fictional character. He was a description of what it felt like to be Glen Campbell in 1975, still believing after 2 decades in the business that the stardom was coming.
On the road to my.
Number 4. Lucille, Kenny Rogers, 1977.
In a bar in Toledo, across from the...
Roger Bowling and Hal Bynum wrote Lucille in 1976. Bowling had been working at a Holiday Inn in Toledo, Ohio, when he met a couple arguing in a bar and the image of the woman with the 4 hungry children and the crop in the field stuck with him long enough to become a song. He co-wrote it with Bynum, and it was eventually pitched to Kenny Rogers, who was between record labels and looking for the right material to relaunch his solo career after years of success with the first edition.
To rented hotel room.
Rogers recorded Lucille at Glazer Sound Studios in Nashville and released it in early 1977. It reached #1 on the Billboard Hot Country Singles chart, crossed over to #5 on the Billboard Hot 100, and became a genuine international hit, reaching #1 in the United Kingdom and Australia, and the top 10 across Europe. It won the Grammy Award for Best Male Country Vocal Performance in 1978, and the Country Music Association's Single of the Year Award. The song was certified gold by the RIAA, and became the launching point for what would become one of the most commercially successful solo careers in country music history.
That I'm no quitter, but I finally quit living.
The line, "You picked a fine time to leave me, Lucille, with 4 hungry children and a crop in the field," became one of the most recognizable lyrics in country music. The kind of line that people who have never considered themselves country fans can recite from memory because they absorbed it from the cultural atmosphere without realizing it. Bowling had seen a couple arguing in a Holiday Inn bar in Ohio and turned it into a Grammy. That is the country music economy at its most efficient.
So I walked on over.
#3. Don't It Make My Brown Eyes Blue. Crystal Gayle, 1977. Crystal Gayle was born Brenda Gayle Webb in Paintsville, Kentucky, the younger sister of Loretta Lynn, who had suggested she pursue a music career and helped her get her first record deal. She had been recording since 1969 and had several country top 10 hits before songwriter Richard Lee brought her Don't It Make My Brown Eyes Blue in 1977. Lee had written the song while thinking about his dog Amanda, a terrier with brown eyes, a detail that he clarified in a 2016 interview after decades of speculation about the song's inspiration. Crystal Gayle nailed her vocal on the first take. "I did not re-sing it," she recalled to Billboard magazine. "It just fell into place, beginning with Pig Robin's opening work on the piano. It was magic in the studio that day." In 1978, the song won Gayle a Grammy Award for Best Female Country Vocal Performance. It reached #1 on the country chart and #2 on the Billboard Hot 100, held off from the top pop spot for 3 weeks by Debbie Boone's You Light Up My Life. The crossover smash made her album We Must Believe in Magic the first by a female country artist to go platinum, earning her the distinction of being the first female country artist in history to achieve a platinum album. In 1999, the song was recognized by ASCAP as one of the 10 most performed songs of the 20th century. The detail about the first take is the detail that country music producers talk about when they discuss what a great vocal performance actually is. Pig Robin's piano introduction set the atmosphere, and Gayle walked into it and never needed to go back. The song about a terrier's brown eyes became one of the defining recordings of the decade, the most performed country song of the 20th century that started with one take in a Nashville studio and never needed another. #2. The Gambler, Kenny Rogers, 1978.
On a warm summer's evening, on a train bound.
Don Schlitz wrote The Gambler in 1976 when he was 23 years old and had been in Nashville for less than a year. He recorded a demo, pitched it around town, and collected rejections. Bobby Bare recorded it and had a minor hit. Johnny Cash recorded it. Several other artists recorded it. None of the versions connected in the way the song deserved. Then Schlitz's publisher played it for Kenny Rogers, who had just come off the success of Lucille and was looking for material of similar narrative strength. Rogers recorded it at a session in 1978. He later said he knew it was a hit before they finished recording it.
Said, son, I've made my life out of reading people.
The Gambler reached #1 on the Billboard Hot Country Singles chart and stayed there for 3 weeks. It won Rogers the Grammy Award for Best Male Country Vocal Performance in 1980, his second consecutive Grammy in that category, following Lucille in 1978. The Country Music Association named it Song of the Year. The album of the same name was eventually certified 5x platinum by the RIAA, making it one of the best certified country albums of its era. The song spawned 5 television films, all starring Rogers as the gambler Brady Hawks, beginning in 1980. Don Schlitz, who had collected rejection letters for 2 years before Rogers recorded it, won the Grammy for Best Country Song as the songwriter. The advice at the center of the song, "You've got to know when to hold them, know when to fold them, know when to walk away, know when to run," became the most quoted piece of country wisdom in the history of the format. It appears on motivational posters, in business self-help books, in political speeches, and in the vocabulary of people who have never listened to country music. Kenny Rogers performed it at every show he played for the rest of his career. He died on March 20th, 2020, at the age of 81. The song he recorded in 1978 is still being quoted by people who do not know they are quoting a country song. Number 1. Rose Garden, Lynn Anderson, 1970.
I beg your pardon.
Lynn Anderson had been performing since childhood and had her first country hit in 1966. But Rose Garden was the song that turned her from a successful country artist into an international phenomenon. She heard Joe South's version of the song and wanted to record it. Her husband and producer Glen resisted. The song had been written from a man's perspective, with lyrics about promising diamond rings that he felt sounded wrong coming from a woman. Anderson pushed back. They had extra studio time. Sutton agreed to let her record it as an album cut, with no expectation that it would be released as a single. Then Clive Davis, an executive at Columbia Records, heard the song. He knew it would be a hit and insisted that it be released as a single. Anderson recorded it on September 10, 1970. It spent 5 weeks at the top of the country chart and reached number 3 on the Hot 100, making it a major crossover hit. The song went to number 1 in Australia, Austria, Belgium, Canada, Finland, Germany, Ireland, Norway, New Zealand, and Switzerland. It remained on the British charts for 40 consecutive weeks and sold over 1 million copies in the United Kingdom alone, making Lynn Anderson one of the most recognizable faces and voices in popular entertainment. Total worldwide sales reached 12 million copies, the most verified sales figure of any country single in this list, and one of the highest for any country single in the history of the format. The title album topped the country albums chart, where it would remain for 14 weeks, and peaked at number 19 on the Billboard 200. The album would eventually be certified platinum, making Anderson one of the first female country music artists to do so. Anderson later said, "The song's timing was everything. It arrived as America was emerging from the Vietnam years, and people were trying to recover. It was popular because it touched on emotions," she said. "It was perfectly timed." The woman who had to fight her own producer to record the song ended up with the best-selling country single of the decade. Sutton eventually acknowledged he had been wrong. Clive Davis had been right. And the song about refusing to make false promises sold 12 million copies to people who wanted to believe they could handle the truth.